This is the crazy story of Gypsy Rose Blanchard, the girl who murdered her mother and served 8 years in prison, only to be just recently released and rose to fame and is now a pop culture icon. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I want to wish everybody a super happy new year, happy 2024. I hope everybody enjoyed the holiday break as much as I did. And I think a few of us were anticipating a very special release from prison this year. At the age of 32 years old, Gypsy Rose Blanchard was finally released from prison after murdering her mother. In Louisiana on July 27, 1991, Gypsy Rose Blanchard was born to Claudine and Ron Blanchard. Gypsy's mom, Claudine, also known as Dee Dee, met Gypsy's dad, Ron, back in high school, and they had a relationship together, and Dee Dee ended up getting pregnant, so they fast-tracked a marriage, but ended up not working out because it was fast-tracked, so they ended up being separated by the time that Gypsy Rose was born. And so Gypsy's dad ended up staying in touch with them as long as he could, but Dee Dee was pretty controlling over Gypsy. She was very protective over her, so as Gypsy grew older, she grew more and more estranged with her father. They always kind of kept in touch, but Ron never had a first-hand account into Gypsy's life growing up after a certain point. So the biggest reason why Ron wasn't in Gypsy's life was because she was a victim of Munchausen by proxy. Her mother always wanted to be a caretaker, and so she started lying about certain symptoms and illnesses that Gypsy had at a young age. So at this point, the young Ron was like, you know what, Dee Dee, you're very caring and you're a very good person, and I can tell that you're taking this very seriously, and we're no longer together, so I'm really just going to kind of let you have the reins of that. I'll do the best I can to keep in touch with you guys. However, it seems like you kind of got this handled. So that's why there was that space, but again, it was purposeful. Dee Dee was trying to isolate Gypsy because she was making all this up for attention, whatever it may be. It was happening, and it was a form of abuse, child abuse, throughout the entirety of Gypsy's life. One of the initial lies that Dee Dee started was that Gypsy was a sufferer of sleep apnea as a baby, and by the time that she was 8 years old, she was also a sufferer of leukemia and muscle dystrophy, which required her to be wheelchair bound, and also she had a feeding tube, again, which she didn't need, and she could walk, by the way. She didn't really need the wheelchair, obviously. Some other illnesses and ailments that she had were seizures, asthma, visual and hearing impairments, and the list goes on, really. And because of this, Gypsy was on a slew of medications. I mean, she had to even have a breathing machine to help her go to sleep. I think the worst of it, though, was that Dee Dee had Gypsy go through all these different surgeries. This ranges from surgeries in her eyes to also removing her salivary glands. And because of this, she ended up having all her teeth rot out. And if it wasn't already obvious, Gypsy was not a sufferer of leukemia, so she had her head shaved by her mother, but she wasn't actually going through chemo. So this was essentially all of Gypsy's childhood. It was just taken from her by her mother. And the way that Dee Dee was able to get away with this is because she always wanted to be a caretaker, so she had some nursing training already. So she was able to kind of establish this repertoire with the doctors and really just kind of manipulate and formulate these really complex lies about her medical history. And this entire time, Ron Blanchard had no idea. He thought that Gypsy suffered from a chromosomal disorder that Dee Dee had told him. So that's why she had all of these different medical issues growing up. So of course people were questioning her, people in her family were questioning her, doctors were questioning her. So that's when they decided to move in 2005 from Louisiana to Missouri, claiming to be a victim of Hurricane Katrina, which would also be an explanation as to why there's missing medical records. And if you guys aren't already familiar with the story, it gets even crazier. In 2008, Habitat for Humanity gifts them an entire house equipped with a wheelchair ramp, and they also painted the house pink for Gypsy. And on top of that, there's charity and sponsored trips to Disney World and even several concerts. And Dee Dee was basking in the limelight of all this. Everybody would praise her. Oh, you're such a good caretaker. Even Ron, Gypsy's dad, was like, wow, you are doing so amazing with our daughter. I'm so impressed with your passion and all the works. So when Gypsy was 14 in Missouri, there was actually a neurologist who started to catch on, and he really thought that she could be a victim of Munchausen by proxy, which she was. But for some reason, he never admitted this to authorities. But whether it was him or somebody else, somebody did make an anonymous complaint about the lies and about the scandal that is Gypsy Rose and her mother Dee Dee. And so because of this, two caseworkers actually showed up at Dee Dee's home and questioned everything. They were trying to make sure that everything was okay. And of course, Dee Dee was able to gaslight them into thinking that everything was okay. And so they left. Case closed. So I know what you guys are thinking. Why couldn't Gypsy just stand up? It's because this is years and years and years since birth of grooming and manipulating by her mother Dee Dee. I mean, at some point she did try to escape, and her mom tracked her down, tied her up, would beat her sometimes, would not feed her. And so, I mean, what is one to do at that point? Dee Dee was even going as far as to alter her birth certificate and lying about her age. So at some points, Gypsy didn't even know how old she was. So it was actually back in 2011 when Gypsy initially tried to escape. And so when Dee Dee tracked them down, she was able to get Gypsy back in her custody by basically, like, again, lying about her age, but like scaring the guy and saying that she was a minor, even though she was 19 at the time. So that's how she was first able to get Gypsy back. So, I mean, at this point, Gypsy is completely trapped. I feel like at this point, it is life or death for Gypsy. I mean, I don't really understand how there's any other way she could have gotten out of this with all the abuse and manipulation going on. I don't know, not only what that would do to somebody's body, but what that would do to her mind, you know, a developing mind. It's insane. So at this point, when Gypsy returned after the abuse I just mentioned, Dee Dee also smashed her computer so she wasn't able to communicate. And somehow Gypsy was able to get back online somehow. And she actually went on a Christian dating site where she met a Nicholas Godejohn. Gypsy confessed to everything to him. She told him about the lies, the abuse, everything. I mean, he really felt for her and he really wanted to help her escape in some way, but they didn't really know how. But Gypsy ended up crafting a plan that would end in murder. In June of 2015, Nicholas Godejohn snuck into the house and Gypsy was hiding in the bathroom. She covered her ears while he stabbed Dee Dee Blanchard to death. Together, they ran to Wisconsin, which is the home of Nicholas, and they hid there. And for some reason, Gypsy wanted everybody to know that her mom was dead. They wanted police to find the body and not just be sitting there. So on Facebook, and I quote, she put, "That bitch is dead." And so, I mean, the Facebook post is still up. I'm going to post a picture of it for you guys, but it's a lot. Police were able to shortly discover where Gypsy and Nicholas were hiding, obviously because he was just in his home. And Nicholas was sentenced to life in prison, and Gypsy actually accepted a plea deal in 2016 after she pled guilty to second-degree murder of her mother. She was sentenced to 10 years in prison, and she served 85% of her time, where she was just recently released in December 28th of 2023 now. You know, prison wasn't all that bad for Gypsy, though. She had some structure in her life, finally, that wasn't abusive in that way. And she said she had actually felt more freedom in prison than she did growing up with Dee Dee. And she actually met her current husband, Ryan Anderson, who was writing letters to her, little love notes to her. And they were writing back and forth for a little while before he ended up marrying her in prison still in the year of 2022. And he picked her up in a black Cadillac and took her to go get a brand new pair of shoes right when she was released. Paparazzi got the pictures, I'll show them. And this starts the rise to fame of Gypsy Rose Blanchard. So prior to Gypsy's release from prison, there was a show released on Hulu where Joey King starred as Gypsy Rose in the story The Act. It's like a series. You could watch it on Hulu. I watched it. It was actually pretty good. Joey actually did a really good job. But of course, it wasn't super accurate. And so Gypsy didn't actually like the reenactment of it. She said it was super romanticized, especially like the sexual aspects. Like she felt like they trying to make her to be like a sexual deviant when it wasn't really like that. She was more like seeking connection and also help from the outside, and they kind of painted her in a more sexual way than she would have liked. But she did commend Joey for her performance. She said she nailed her likeness and that she deserved, and congratulated her on her Emmy, Golden Globe, and several other nominations that Joey King ended up receiving from that show. So while Gypsy was still behind bars, she was actually working on an ebook that doesn't tell the exact story of what happened, but more along the lines of like the trauma that she had and like the growth and the journey of recovering and healing that took place while she was in prison. She also has been working on a docuseries, which is a pretty anticipated release, so I'm really looking forward to watching that as well. So with the help of Gypsy's half-sister on her father's side, of course, she actually has social media. So before she was even released, her sister helped her create an Instagram and also a TikTok account, and it amassed a ton of following before she was even released. So as of today, January 4th is like the day that I'm filming right now, and I'm looking at her Instagram, and Gypsy Rose has amassed 6.4 million followers. Okay, that's insane. And then her TikTok, let's check it out. And her TikTok is at 6.5 million. I don't think this is focusing, but it's okay. You guys get it. And her most recent video has 71.3 million views and 12 million likes. And these guys are not haters. This has been an overwhelming show of support, of positivity for Gypsy, actually. People are really excited for her to finally be able to have a real life again. because it was so tragically taken from her so young. She's let everybody know that she's doing well, that she's with family, and that she appreciates all the support. And she does have like a little scandal because I guess some people, I don't know if it was kind of like jokes or if they were being serious, but some people were kind of messing with Ryan, her current husband, just kind of being like, you know, just like people trying to shoot their shot and saying that if he messes up, they're going to slide in, and I don't know, whatever. So in the midst of some of these trolls messing with her and her husband, Gypsy had a few words to say on her Instagram. So I'm going to read them for you guys because I think she kind of ate them up with this one. Ryan, don't listen to the haters. I love you and you love me. We do not owe anyone anything. Our family is who matters. If you get likes and good comments, great. If you get hate, then whatever, because they don't matter. I love you. Besides, they jealous because you are rocking my world every night. ... Yeah, I said it. That D is fire. Happy wife, happy life. So she shut them up with that one. She really did. I don't know about you guys, but I'm really looking forward to seeing how she's going to use this huge platform that she grew so fast, and also just like how she's going to maneuver through social media after not really having any access to it. And on top of that, I'm really excited to see her docuseries and get an inside look on what's been going on with her and maybe more about the story. But I don't know, you guys will have to let me know down in the comments what you guys think, and thank you so much for watching until the end, or watching at all. If you liked, like. If you disliked, I'll try not to think about it in my dreams. But as always, thank you guys, and I'll see you guys next week, hopefully.